Hi guys, this video is all about how to use information from more than one text, and this is preparing for the Level 2 Functional Skills reading exams. It can be quite daunting for students to be dealing with more than one text, but it's not as bad as it seems. It's just that sometimes you can't get all the information from one text. The text will be quite small, so you're not looking at something around about the same size of 3 versions of the Level 1 reading exam. All this means is that you've got to skim and scan through a little bit more information than you would usually, but we'll look at how to do that in a moment. So to put your mind at ease, the text will be around the same subject, but will be subtly different in some way. And this is where you might need to infer some kind of meanings. And this is just a test to see how aware of the meanings of the text, and that's what an inference is. That's reading between the lines and understanding the message, underneath what they've actually written. And they usually structure this. They've got one larger text, and by larger text, I mean a text format that is traditionally quite bigger than the others. So, like an article is usually quite a bit bigger than an email. So it'd be like an article or a letter. One of these texts that can be a couple of pages long, and now pair it with like an email, even kind of like a blog post on a website. So like 2 small texts and 1 larger text, but they'll all be on the same topic. One of the main skills that you'll need is reading between the lines. Another word for this is inference. And if you want to develop this skill a little bit more, or if you're not very confident in it, I'd recommend you having a look through a video I did previously about how to infer for GCSE level English, where we go a little bit deeper than the skills that you'll actually need for this, but it'll give you an idea of what inference is. But sometimes a writer can make quite vague comments, and the questions will be asking about the writer's point of view of certain things, and you'll be like, well, I've only got vague comments. How do I kind of really get that meaning from there? So if we have a look at this example here, there are numerous benefits to your health when you participate in a running club. So let's say that was a sentence in a normal extract. The question might be, the writer thinks a person may live longer if they join a running club, true or false? Now, even though the person hasn't directly stated, they will live longer, we can see that this person is saying it's got the word health. So skimming and scanning changes here. Instead of looking for that phrase, may live longer, what we're actually looking for is anything related to health. So we're looking for synonyms. So those are words that have similar meaning, words or phrases that basically mean the same thing, that basically mean that someone will live longer. So in that case, we would pick true, and that's what they mean for inference in this kind of question. To understand this question, I think it's really important to have a go at yourself. So I've written some questions here, and what I'd like you to do in a moment is pause the video and maybe take a screenshot of this and then access the actual text, which I'll include in the video description if you want to have a go at this. But for those who aren't actually going to have a try and just want to familiarise themselves, I'll go through this. Okay, so we've got the question for each statement, circle to say whether it's true or false. If we have a look at the first one, so both text A and B recommend joining a sports club, true or false? So there, have a quick flick back over the text and just see if there's any positive phrases in relation to sports club or sports society or anything like that, and then circle it. Always make sure that you are looking at the correct text. I'd recommend actually underlining or circling the actual text that are currently in bold, just to make sure that you are looking at the right one. Okay, so guys, take a screenshot or make a note of these or anything you want, or just open up the document and have a go yourself, and then I'll introduce you to the second part of the question now. So this is what question 2 looks like in this part of the question. What do both text A and text B recommend that C doesn't? Circle your answer. And they'll always use that kind of structure. So essentially it's just testing that knowledge, same way it was before, but you're just trying to find related pieces of information. Now some people have different techniques with this. Some people will, as they're reading it the first time, they might kind of note similarities already. Similarities or differences generally do come up in the exam, so if you're that kind of person who likes to make notes as they're reading, then by all means do. I had another teacher friend of mine who actually recommended that students read the questions in this case first before reading the text. But obviously you can't read all the questions, so if you know you're going to struggle with this one, try just jump into this section, having a quick read of the questions, and then when you kind of come back, you've kind of got some notes. But personally, what I like to do is I like to see the questions when I've naturally come to it, and then use my skimming and scanning techniques to kind of get the answers. But you'll have a moment to practice that now if you haven't already. But I'll introduce the text that we'll be looking at. Okay, here are our three texts. Okay, so if you haven't downloaded these, then do so in a moment, but we'll go through it anyway. A recent study has highlighted the benefits of joining a sports club and not abandoning exercise and fun when we reach a certain age. Adults in their 30s commonly start to develop health problems, and are we surprised? Work, family life, and those ever-tempting pack of cookies in the supermarket all take their toll on our health. It all starts with a simple search of the local clubs that you might be interested in. So the first thing you do when you look at one of these texts is you try and think, what is the writer's viewpoint? And what I would do personally is I would just draw a little annotated arrow from this and go positive viewpoint. But do you really need to do this? Commonly these use things like subtitles. If you look at this one, join a sports club to live longer, you should immediately know by looking at this one, this person is going to have a very positive viewpoint on sports clubs, and it's particularly relating to living longer. And these might be how these texts differ. So they might all be about sports clubs, but this one is directly related to sports clubs and how they live longer. So immediately you should be having that in the back of your mind, so that when you do get a question that's related to it, you should be able to easily find that information there. Okay, text B, Redditch Running Club. Redditch Running Club is a friendly, informal place where like-minded people can feel part of a community and get fitter. This is a fantastic group which is fully endorsed by this newspaper. Okay, so this one, it's very similar, and they are often very, very similar in their topic, but this one is actually endorsing a specific sports club, and this is where it might be different. So it might say, true or false, text B and C recommend specific sports clubs, even though text C doesn't. But yeah, so it's things like that, what ways are they different, what ways are they similar, are the things you'll be thinking of. Text C, ways to keep healthy. Health isn't just about your body, sorry. It is also about your mind. Getting fit with other people helps fight off negative thoughts as well as improving your heart rate. So go outside and explore what's on offer. So you'll see this one is subtly different as well, and that is essentially what these questions will be about, is how are these texts subtly different and how are they subtly similar. Okay, so if you want to have a go at these by now, then that's absolutely fantastic, and feel free to pause the video. In the next few slides we're going to go through the answers. Okay, let's have a look at these answers then. So A, both text A and B recommend joining a sports club. True. So if you did look back at text A, you'll see immediately that the subtitle is on join a sports club to live longer. That's an incredibly positive sentence. And then in text B, we've got that the club is friendly. So that's really kind of recommending it. B, both text B and text A mention what happens when people do not socialise. That's false. So you could literally just look and see if either one of them have a negative tone at all, and that will kind of give you that indication there. Or you could scan physically and see if you can find that information there, which would be a bit harder. C, both text B and C suggest joining the sports club has at least 2 benefits. Okay, so that'll be a quick scan. You'd know how the sentence would be set up for benefits. It'd be something like a sports club gives you this, in a sports club you get that. Which would generally be, about positive. So you'd be scanning the text as well. If either one of them had a negative word to say about sports club, then it would probably be false. D, none of the texts are written for people over the age of 20, false. So if you had a quick look over the text, all you'd have to do is search for a number which would hint at an age, and in that case it's false. So you should come across the number 30. there. So straight away look for a number, find 30, and then you'll figure out that that's false. Now text E, this one I actually really struggled with, so true or false, even though I wrote it. So all texts encourage being social, whereas none of them actually, well, all of them have positive things to say about being social. The one that is a bit vague is text A, where it's just saying that there's lots of benefits of joining a sports club. Now we can assume that because you're joining a club and you're not doing it by yourself, then that is encouraging people being social. So I would actually select that as being true, but that's the trickiest these questions ever do get, and I think that one is a particular hard one. Just to kind of have a think there about how meanings are kind of conveyed and stuff like that. Okay, question 2. What do both text A and text B recommend that C doesn't circle your answer? In this case, it is searching for new clubs. To end, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and check out Write On Resources for videos that are of a much better quality than this. Okay, thanks a lot for watching, guys.